Hello, this is Trini. Welcome to my channel. And this is the first episode of Deconditioning My Soul. Basically, I am on a journey to decondition my soul, to decondition everything that I've been taught, to unknow and unlearn everything that I've ever learned, because I believe that that's the way that we're going to get really in touch with who we are, and hence that we are going to be able to live the life that we want to live. And honestly, just because it feels so exciting to unlearn and to decondition and to realize that you once held such a deep attachment to something, to an ideal, to a belief, that you felt it was such a truth, and that suddenly you realize it isn't really. So I'm documenting this journey for myself, and today I want to talk about how we can decondition our kids, or help our kids not have so much deconditioning to do right when they're adults. And today I'm reading from an excerpt from Osho's freedom book, The Courage to Be Yourself, which, oh my god, if you haven't picked up this book, this is like the third time I pick it up because it's really changed my life, but I really recommend it. It really gave me the first big shift in perception that I needed to take some courageous action in my life some years ago. But yeah, I wanted to read this part about children. So he's talking about the different kinds of freedoms, 3 different kinds of freedoms in the foreword. And he talks about psychological freedom being the third kind of freedom. So he says, psychological freedom will be possible when children are allowed to grow, help to grow to more intellect, more intelligence, more consciousness, more alertness. No belief will be given to them. And I think this part is like really important, or really kind of made me stop. No belief will be given to them. And just think about how, as a parent, if you're a parent already, how you have this like belief that you need to transfer your beliefs into your child. Even if you're someone spiritual and conscious, or you consider yourself someone conscious, just wanting to give them that even is this egotistic, or this ego-driven desire that is only selfish, and that actually is saying my truth needs to be your truth, and it's not an honoring of the child. So if I'm wanting my son Kai to just believe the same things I do, even if I think it's going to be to his benefit, right? Because for me, my beliefs are for my benefit, then that's just selfish of me, because I'm not letting him discover his own truth. And that's where, it ties into this next part. They will not be taught any kind of faith, but they will be given as much incentive as possible to search for truth. And they will be reminded from the very beginning, your own truth, your own finding is going to liberate you. Nothing else can do that for you. So I'm going to repeat that last part. Your own truth, your own finding is going to liberate you. Nothing else can do that for you. I feel that so deeply, you guys. Like, how many truths did you have to hear before you realized that you had to take it all down to go on your own journey to find your truth? Like, it's the journey to find your truth that gives you that, that finding of who you are. And when you finally reach a truth, it feels so good because you found it for yourself. And that feeling, that can never come from somebody giving you a truth. He goes into this at a certain point, but you're always going to resent your parents, or your kids are always going to resent you if you're just trying to feed them what they should think, what they should know, what they should be like, what they should believe about the world. Because it's ultimately saying you're not capable of going out there and discovering it for yourself. Of course, we do this completely subconsciously. We believe that, a lot of people believe that it's a good mother, gives these things out. And the least thing you can do, right, is give your kid a good education and leave them with the right values and whatnot. But the kid's always going to be kind of missing something, or wanting to find their own truth, kind of in this search mode, until they're given that option, or that they decide for themselves to go on a journey of their own. So truth cannot be borrowed, it cannot be studied in books. Nobody can inform you about it. You have to sharpen your intelligence yourself so that you can look into existence and find it. I love that part so much. You have to sharpen your intelligence yourself so that you can look into existence and find it. Yes. So I've spoken about this in other videos, but when you get attuned to yourself and you go into like the spiritual journey, or whatever you want to call this journey, into finding yourself, finding truth, you start getting attuned, and you start getting, this feeling of attunement towards certain things, towards knowing what is true and what isn't, or what is true for you and what isn't, what is the right path for you and what isn't. And that's ultimately what's important for each of our own lives, is what's important for you, what's right in your path. And that may mean that is completely different from what's right for someone else's path, right? But it's still important for you. It's the right thing for you, but you can only be the one that learns that mechanism to find out what's right for you in your path, or what's truth for you. Yeah, this is the part about resentment. So I'll just end with this part. It says, otherwise, every child, and this is skipping some lines, okay? So otherwise, every child is angry at his parents because they have ruined him. They destroyed his freedom. They conditioned his mind. Even before he asked any questions, they filled his mind with answers that are all bogus, because they're not based on his own experience. So the answers that we give our kids when they're coming from conditioning, when you're trying to like protect them from the world and give them the right values and give them the right education, they're all bogus because they're not based on his own experience. So even if you're teaching a kid to be kind, I think this is super useful, because obviously, like, you can still teach your kid to be kind, right? But the way I think about it for myself is I want to teach Kai to be kind, but I cannot just go on and tell him to be kind and be happy with that job as a mother. I need to show him what it feels like when you're kind to someone and you get that warm feeling inside that shows you that you're on the right track. Or I need to point out to him how it feels, or an experience where he's not kind to another, and point out to him so that he can figure out in that moment how he's feeling in that moment. And in the end, he's the one that's gonna have to decide, do I want to feel like this in my life, or do I want to feel like this? And I'm no one to be able to tell him, this one, the warm fuzzy feeling, is the one you want. And I think that the best thing that we can do as parents, and where I find like solace in all this, because it's hard sometimes to be like, well, I can't, give him anything in that way. But the way I like to think about it is, if I share my experience and I say, Kai, when I talk to someone, or when I just like lend an extra hand, or when I make an effort to really feel what another person's feeling, or to just be a little kind to one person each day, I get this warm feeling, and I love how that feels, and it makes me wake up happier every morning, and it makes me go to sleep happier every night. And he's gonna listen to that example, and he's gonna take it as information, as data into his own life experience, and that may help him in his decision-making process. He's gonna have more data from me. So in the end, as parents, I believe that what we're doing is we're giving them a lot of data. So if you can give your child the most data possible, genuine data coming from your life, talking not only about what works for your life, but what hasn't worked. What are some of the mistakes you've made? What are the things that you're going through right now that suck, or that you don't know how to deal with? All that stuff is just gonna be like really, really amazing raw data that your child's gonna take on, and then be able to form their own person, their own decisions, their own faith, their own truth, their own life with it ultimately. And you would have given them the best gift of all, I think, is what I can give Kai, is this encouragement and this message of, this is my life experience. I'm so happy to share it with you. I want to share it with you. But I believe that you can go on, that you're smart enough, that you're capable enough, that you're courageous enough, and that you can go on and make those own life experience, or that own decision of what you want from life for yourself.